When I say the words nuclear power, what comes to mind? Is it green ooze leaking out of yellow buckets? Or is it Homer Simpson and where he works? Or is it Chernobyl that exploded back in the 70s or 80s? I don't remember. Well, what if I told you nuclear power might not be so bad? So I've been on Instagram a lot recently, and I keep seeing these videos of Energymaxxing, and it's just a lot of like and it's just a lot of like and it's just a lot of like it's like fossil fuels and coal. It's like sub level 3 energy maxing, and then you see this big old nuclear power plant, and it's just like top tier energy maxer. And I kind of got me thinking. I was like, I wonder if if nuclear power is a good way to create clean, good like power, because we invest so much money in all the wind turbines and solar panels, and the big energy companies are just money printing machines. But I feel like if we had a way to create a high amount of power like with nuclear, I think that might be able to fix that problem. And my I'm sick right now, so I'm kind of feeling it. Jesus Christ. So I got some numbers here. So First Solar Incorporated, they just mainly do solar power. They are valued at 25 to about 27 billion dollars. And then Vesta's wind systems are around 19 to 20 billion. And then the big one, Next Era Energy, they don't just do solar or wind, they do all kinds of renewable. So it is valued at about 170, and I'm guessing since they have more than just solar or wind, that's why they're valued more. That's still about 220 billion dollars that that whole kind of energy area is worth. Now, the nuclear side of that. So for nuclear, Camco Corporations is worth about 45 billion. These are all at the highest market caps. I'm going off of market caps because that is, I feel like, the most adequate way to say how much a company is worth. So Camco is worth 45 billion. So BWX Technologies is around 20 billion, and then New Scale Power Corporation is worth 5 to 6, and then the big one, Constellation Energy Corporation, is worth about $100 billion. So with that all together, it's only about $171 billion. So they're about 50 billion behind solar and wind. So you can definitely tell they are a smaller kind of power source than if it were to be on the wind or solar or hell, even big oil. Big oil is worth a lot, and we all know that. Nuclear, you can't, at least to what I know, I'm not a scientist by far. I am not a scientist, and I just don't see nuclear cars being an option. But if we generate energy for electric cars to be charged by, and it would be more efficient and cleaner than wind or solar, because you got to think about it. Wind and solar isn't the cleanest. It's not the cleanest you can go. I mean, the turbines, they run off of diesel. Oh, they rely on wind. No, they don't. Well, they do, but they don't. And then solar panels, I think they're actually kind of fine. Solar panels are fine. Big energy is it's a big bank that prints money all the time, every day, and we need it because we need energy, and we feel like it has deemed a necessity because it heats our houses, it cools our houses, it keeps the power on, it makes me warm food. Literally right now, I would not be currently here if we did not have any energy or power or lights or anything like that. So obviously you can see why the energy companies are so rich, and you know I'm all for making money. I love making money. What can I say? I feel like energy companies do milk people for what they have, and like they kind of push the image of, oh, this is the cheapest. But in reality, nuclear power plants are not dangerous on their own. Thing that makes it dangerous is two things. It's the amount of electricity they produce and the recklessness of a worker that could be working. Say a worker shows up drunk, they mess up, and they flip the wrong switch, the wrong fuel rod, goes up or down or whatever, and it blows up. And the reason it is such a big explosion, why Chernobyl was such a big deal, was because it had Chernobyl was a huge. I mean, it was huge. It still is huge. I think they're still working from it, but Chernobyl is such a big powerhouse that it created a huge explosion. And the people of Ukraine and Chernobyl are very lucky that people did what they did to stop it. Now, obviously, we all know about Chernobyl, but what I'm saying is the only reason Chernobyl was that bad was because it was a very big power plant and they had a lot of energy right there. Granted, a lot of nuclear reactors. There's a nuclear reactor in Tennessee. Did you know that? But yeah, there's a nuclear reactor in Tennessee. It's not near as big as Chernobyl, but I mean, it still has a lot of energy. It's just we have to be careful and safe around it, which should go for all electricity, and how we should be safe around solar, we should be safe around wind, we should be safe for all of it, oil and all that. I am from the Midwest, so fracking was a big thing here. And I think it was when, I don't know who put a stop on frack, or like kind of minimized fracking. I think it was Biden or something else, or some bill, I don't know. And when they stopped fracking, prices went so high, it was insane. I was like, Jesus. And the thing is, I still don't think I would buy an electric car, because also I can't afford an electric car. A lot of people, I know, obviously Tesla has paved the way for affordable electric cars, along with Toyota and Honda and Chevy and Ford are kind of doing it. But the thing is with electric cars is they are so ugly. They are the ugliest cars ever. What I do enjoy is what Porsche is doing. Porsche is making hybrids, but they're doing it solely for vehicle performance. I think it was the 198 or the 918, not the 198. The 918. It had two electric motors on the front, and then it was rear wheel drive with an engine. I don't know. I don't remember what engine. I'm sure it was a V8 or something, or V10. I don't know. But so as you get up to speed, you launch on the electric motor, so you have all that torque and that speed going for you. And then once you get to a high enough speed, boom, it flips over, and you can just put balls to the wall, and you can let that gas engine just go ham. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Back to nuclear energy. I just realized I didn't cover how nuclear power is produced. So nuclear power is produced by splitting atoms, usually uranium or plutonium, and it's called a process called fission. And the heat from the fission turns water into steam, which drives turbines to generate electricity. And that's also the reason that nuclear is a very clean source of energy. It's because it's just made with water and steam, and the big bellowing clouds that you see out of those pipes, it's just steam. It's just steam going back up into the clouds. And you're like, oh, but radioactive radioactive rain. It's not. That steam isn't radioactive in itself. Now, nuclear power gets such a bad rap because it's so efficient. Really simple. If we just keep it safe, and it is such a clean way to have energy, and if we're just safe about it and not stupid, we get qualified people. And I'm not saying Chernobyl was due to, a stupid person, but I'm saying if we obviously people make mistakes. There's no doubt about it. People make mistakes. Have you seen a nuclear reactor board? It has like 30,000 switches on it. If we were just safe about it and we literally were perfect, I feel like we wouldn't have another Chernobyl or Fukushima or anything like that. And I don't think we really have had any of that. A lot of people are like, well, what do we do with the radioactive waste? What are we going to do with that? Now, the radioactive waste that you see on cartoons, or when you think of radioactive waste, you think of glowing, oozing green sludge coming out of a barrel. But that's not what it is. It is mostly metal fuel rods, these little rods. And since they are creating radioactive material, they are highly radioactive. Also, another little thing is like a tiny little pellet, and that's also radioactive. And the way they store these, they store them in shielded containers, and they dump them in cooling pools because they're super hot. And they dump them into cooling pools at reactor sites. Then they make dry caskets out of steel and concrete, and it's buried deep underground, like I'm talking like cave level probably. And it's in geological repositories designed to keep it isolated for thousands of years, so no one will find it. And probably by the time someone does find it after 1,000 years, it won't be that. It may or may not be radioactive. I think we could probably do something pretty well with it, and maybe even kind of get away from solar and wind, and obviously keep oil around. But if we got away from solar and wind, I feel like we would free up farmland, because once a wind company buys say someone buys, they go to a farmer. They're like, we will offer you $250,000 for 10 acres of land. You know, something like that. I don't know land prices. Say they offer $250,000 for 10 acres of land and they put wind turbines there. That land is no longer usable. So not only are you getting rid of land that could be used for housing or farms and actual food, you're getting rid of the usability of the ground, because they have to dig so far deep and put concrete down there so that windmill will stay up. And it's unusable after, if the wind company, goes south and goes bankrupt. Oh well, we don't have anywhere, we can't use this land. This land's no longer useful. But yeah, I feel like if we just strived away from solar and wind, which solar, I could get solar for houses, nuclear for build like big ass buildings, because solar can power buildings pretty well, like houses pretty well. But I feel like if we had like a big building, I don't think a lot of energy uses, maybe like data centers. I don't think it could handle data centers. But with being on the topic of unusable land, nuclear power plants do cost a lot to make. They were very expensive in construction, and they do take a lot of space. And I like to play from a unbiased standpoint, and I feel like I do pretty well in my videos to cover kind of both sides of the coin. But nuclear has a very high cost to it, along with any other kind of energy. But they are much more, I'd like to say, kind of lower maintenance. Yes, you have to replace certain things, all the time. But do you guys know the reliability of a motor on wind turbines? They are shit. They are so bad. And another thing is, there are a lot of modern advances that has happened with nuclear energy, such as things called SMRs, small modular reactors. And they're basically the big guys on a smaller scale. They produce a little less energy, but and I'm not saying, put one next to your house, but maybe down the street. Now, obviously, with nuclear power being such a big topic, there's public fear about it, and a lot of, but most of it is really just fear mongering, and I fucking hate fear mongering. It's so stupid. A lot of it is fear mongering, like, oh, if you live next to a power plant, your baby's gonna come out with webbed feet and 2 eyes, or your baby's gonna come out with 3 eyes. I feel like it could be a better option for us. But yeah, that's my TED Talk. So TikTok, fuck me. Yeah, that's my TED Talk. So I'll catch you guys later. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. I'll see you later. Peace.